am the voice of the voiceless.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
Sorry about your damn luck.
I deserve one more match.
It's gonna be the end of the world as you know it.
In my 6 years of being a wrestling fan, I've met a number of pro wrestlers on the independent scene from that have worked for WWE, TNA, all over the spectrum, and I will try to do a video on each of my experiences of meeting different wrestlers over the last 6 years. But of course, I thought it was only fitting to talk about my experience meeting one wrestler specifically a week ago, or I think it was 4 years ago from last week, May 2nd, 2010, the day I met WWE Superstar Rey Mysterio. Now, it was a couple weeks prior to that I was watching SmackDown, and they had a commercial on that Rey Mysterio was going to be in Connecticut. I forgot what town it was, but I know it was going to be at the Crystal Mall or something like that. It was nowhere near me, that was for sure. I had never heard of this town before, never heard of the mall, no freaking idea where this place was, but I was desperate to go because I wanted to meet Rey Mysterio. One of the very first wrestlers I ever met. It was very cool, so I wanted to go. And it was going to go down that Friday, at the end of April, whatever that Friday would have been. But the next week on SmackDown, when they aired that same commercial again, they said it got canceled. The appearance got canceled. He would not be appearing after all. And then he'd be appearing the next Friday, or the next Saturday, I believe it was, at that mall or whatever. So I still changed my plans in order to go. I still really wanted to go meet Rey Mysterio. I mean, this is no indie guy. This is a WWE star. This is a legend that is Rey Mysterio. So, and also a couple months prior to that, I had bought his book. I had yet to read it, but I had bought his book. So we go to the show, or we go to the signing. I had never heard of this town before. We had to get directions to go there. It was at maybe 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, so we got up at maybe 7 or 8 o'clock to drive there. It was about an hour or 2 hours away from where I lived. It was another part of Connecticut, all the other ways to the other side of the state, but it was worth the drive. And we definitely wanted to get there early because we assumed that there was going to be a large crowd. I mean, Rey Mysterio is obviously one of the biggest faces in WWE history, very well liked by the kids and whatnot, so he was obviously going to have a big crowd for him. So we woke up early, we drove there. We got there not just in time for the signing, but we got there maybe like an hour or two early. I think about an hour early, just to make sure that we got our spot in line. So the first thing that we had to do was go into a comic book store or something like that, purchase our ticket, and that we did. And I think you could only get one thing signed. So I'm walking in like a complete fan, like a complete mark. I mean, I hate to say that, but I was. And I still am to this day. Everyone's a mark if you're a wrestling fan, but that's another story for another day. But I'm walking in. I got my WWE Universe hat on. I got my Intercontinental Jack Pacific title belt with me. I've got one of my wrestling shirts on. I got everything. I got the Rey Mysterio book. I got the title belt. I got the hat. My brother, I think, brought something. I think he might have brought a championship belt because I wanted to get everything signed by Rey Mysterio. But when we purchased the ticket, they said it was, I think, $30 or so to get one thing signed, or a photo. It was something signed or a photo. So I had to pick between the two. I went with the autograph, so I decided I was going to get something signed. I didn't know what yet. I had my IC title with me, which I think at that point, I've had my Intercontinental Championship belt, the Jack Pacific one, signed by a number of wrestlers, I think including Jerry Lawler. And by that point, I don't know who else signed it. Because this was May 2010, and I had already been to a few indie shows. I think I had Mr. Kennedy sign it, so maybe just those two, and he would have been the third. But I was still waiting in line. When I was waiting in line, I tried to decide what Rey Mysterio would sign for me. However, the line itself was probably the most memorable part of this entire experience. Because the line, it was a big-ass mall for one thing, but waiting in line was not the most annoying thing, but it was the most tiresome thing I've almost ever done in my life. I mean, there was close to 1,000 people waiting in line, maybe if not more than 1,000 people waiting for Rey Mysterio. Like I said, one of the biggest faces in WWE in the last 10, 15 years, so it made perfect sense that there's going to be a large crowd, but we had no idea it would be as packed as it would be. So we go there, we're waiting in line, we're waiting on the lower level, we had to go up the stairs, all the way on the upper level, and then I think maybe come back down. Or no, it wasn't the second level, but we had to wait a long-ass time. We were waiting in line for maybe close to 2 hours or so. It was a line of 1,000 people. I was checking my phone, I was going on the internet looking up, I think, old feuds or something like that on Wikipedia. I was looking up I think I was looking up Chavo Guerrero. I think when the exact moment when I found out about Chavo Guerrero and the Kerwin White character, that was the first moment I ever discovered that, because it was on Wikipedia looking up old Rey Mysterio stuff and saw that. I don't know, so I was just looking up this random shit on my phone, talking to my brother, my little brother who was with me, just trying to kill some time. It was worth the wait, though. This is Rey frickin' Mysterio. So we finally get upstairs, and the thing's about to close. There was only a small window of when he was going to be there, and there wasn't much time left before he was going to close off. When we're almost there, I'm thinking, holy shit, if they close this, I'm going to be pissed before I get up there. So that would have sucked, but thankfully it didn't. We finally got up to meet Rey Mysterio. I decided what I wanted him to sign. It was going to be his book. Like I said, up to this point, I had yet to read his autobiography. To this day, I actually read half of it in 2010, but I had yet to finish it because I got overcome with other stuff at that point in time, and I still have to go back and read it all. But I probably will at some point. But I had him sign the book, and while we were waiting in line, I did take a picture of him signing the autographs, and in the thumbnail of this video, you can see that. I didn't get a picture with him. I think my brother, I don't think he got anything signed, because it was maybe like $30, like I said, to get an autograph or a picture with Mysterio. So I just had him sign his book. My book, technically. It was his book written by him, but it was owned by me. So I had him sign that in the front cover. It was very cool. Very, very nice guy, of course. You've heard a number of reports over the years that Rey Mysterio could be a dick, that he's egotistical. Don't believe what you read, because he's a great guy in person, very down-to-earth, very, very cool. When I read his book, he seemed very cool. So when I met him in person, it was just like I thought it would be. Very, very cool guy, very down-to-earth, like I said before. Genuinely great guy. So if Rey Mysterio comes to your town, I don't know how many appearances he does these days, given the fact that he's not on WWE TV all that much, and he's got nagging injuries and stuff like that. I don't know how often he does appearances nowadays, but if he does, make sure to check him out. It was awesome. So that was very cool. And when we were waiting in line, my brother, I think on the way out, they had a, if you do a certain amount of pull-ups, they give you a free T-shirt or a water bottle or something. So they helped him out a little bit. They pulled his legs, because my brother was maybe like 10 years old at the time, and that was comical. But when we were waiting in line, or I think afterwards, we went to the merchandise place where they're selling wrestling stuff. So we got a pack of trading cards, both my brother and I. We got that. I got a Miz thing. I don't know what you call it. It was one of the things that they had the picture in, and they gave the name of the superstar. I don't know what it's called, but I can't really show it to you. I think I have it hanging on my wall over there, so I don't really want to take it down right now. But I bought that when I was there. It has The Miz, a Raw Superstar. He was a Raw Superstar at the time when the draft, or when the brands actually meant something. But even so, I bought that as a little souvenir. I got the picture of Rey Mysterio. I got the autograph. I got the trading cards. All in all, it was an awesome day. My legs were fucking killing me afterwards. I had to sit down because we were standing the entire time. It wasn't until maybe the last 5 minutes before we got up to meet Mysterio, and they allowed him to go overtime to get everyone else in. And we were very fortunate to finally get that autograph, and they didn't close it on us, so that was awesome because we were at the very end of the line. So my feet were killing me when I finally sat down. But all in all, it was an awesome experience. Like I said, one of the very first few wrestlers I ever met, right up there with Tommy Dreamer. And I'll probably tell that story in another video and another date and time. But even still, Rey Mysterio being one of the first wrestlers I ever met, it was an awesome experience. Great guy, like I said before. If he comes around to your area, check him out. Definitely worth the wait, worth the price. Great stuff. Get an autograph, picture. Doesn't really matter. Mysterio is a cool guy. Not one of my all-time favorites, but in terms of personalities and down to earth and being a great person, not a fan of the wrestler, but more so the person. So, like I said, check him out if he comes around your town, because that was great. Being one of the first wrestlers I ever met, having gotten to wrestling only 2 years prior, I only met only a handful of wrestlers by this point in time. So to be able to meet Tommy Dreamer, it was great. Later on that night, we went out to a wrestling show in the Northeast Wrestling Company that I talked about in my last video blog last week, so check that out if you haven't already. Support indie wrestling. So we went to Northeast Wrestling that night. I met a few people there. I think I met who else did I meet there? I think I met Dusty Rhodes, Booker T. That was really cool. I think they had Roxy there. Tommy Dreamer was there. I'll talk about, like I said before, I'll talk about my experience with Tommy Dreamer and my friendship with him in another video. That's always really cool story to tell. But, even still, 4 years ago, it's amazing to think it's been that long since I first met Rey Mysterio. But, even 4 years later, he's still in the WWE. Like I said, not a huge fan of the wrestler. Hopefully he retires soon. I don't know how much he has left in the tank, but whenever he's on TV, he's entertaining. You know, they treat him like shit. When he came out at number 30 in the Rumble this year, I thought that was great. That was hilarious. People booed him, but even still, meeting a wrestler is always awesome. It's a surreal experience. You see him on TV every single week, so to meet him live and in person is great. They're almost always awesome to the fans. So, even if it's not Rey Mysterio, go check it out. Whoever's in the area, Mick Foley I know has come by. He does tours and stuff. Superstars are always doing contract signings all around the country. So if they come around to you, check them out. So that being said, guys, thanks for watching. Always appreciate it. Make sure to leave a comment down below. Like, subscribe, all that great stuff. And we'll be back soon with another video. Thanks for watching, guys. GSM, signing out. Till next week, guys.